Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, my show today is called God, the Substance of All Form by Joel Goldsmith of The Infinite Way. It's an amazing book in that Joel makes our journey here very understandable. He talks about our within journey, our slow unfoldment, how to be patient, and he explains a lot of what we're up against. But I want to thank Tim Riley, number one, who's directing, and he's doing a great job. And today I am the proud grandma of a 5-day-old baby boy named Satchel Shepard Bartlett. He was born on the 29th, and I had the thrill of meeting him yesterday. He's doing great, and his grandfather's birthday is today, so a very special day for me to just do accolades for these two wonderful folks. So again, God, the substance of all form, when you really even think of the meaning of what that says, the substance, the cause, the principle of everything out there. Form is our outer life. The substance of that comes from within here. And there's a practice that Joel is preaching in the infinite way, which requires patience, of which I've said many times my redheaded nature used to be, has very little. So I think the reason I'm drawn to it is, first of all, I have been chosen to do this. I have studied every metaphysical, spiritual practice that you can name. I've had 25 years of guests on explaining their path, and they're all fabulous. They're all perfect. And I went through that until I read one of Joel's books, and then that was it. I'm set up for life. This will be it for me. It's helped me to cope with loss, with all kinds of situations, because our problems help us to see what is really real. So it's kind of interesting to even suggest that to degree your traumas and your losses are great. Often it's the degree that we go within and we have to find a way, a modus operandi, a method of dealing with this dimension with all its fear, all its bigotry, its hatred. We need a method. And Joel is so clear about the method is meditation. In meditation, as Joel says, being quiet is a big secret. When we are so busy being inundated with information day in and day out, appearances need to be overcome constantly every single day. Now, think of how challenging that is, my friends. Appearances need to be met, which means fear, which is a huge pool of anything unimaginable that's uncomfortable, disease, death, loss. It's just, if you put the news on, you got to protect yourself. You have to correct it. And that's not an easy job. And Joel says it's not for the weak-kneed, it's for the strong of heart. It's those who are willing to be persistent. And a double Taurus is sitting here saying, I can do that. I can be persistent because this practice is helping me so much. And also Joel says in this book that Jesus was the master Christian. He was the one out of all the mystics who knew what Jesus knew long before Jesus got here. This knowledge of truth has always been with us before time began. That knowledge just simply says we are one, we're one soul, we're one cause. The outer life that we have, the law, and I love the word law, the law of love is who we are. So to the degree we're responsible to tune into that law of love constantly is how we have peace, how the outer world unfolds. Slowly maybe, but we can keep going back to the drawing board and find that we get it right back. And that's what I am learning. And let me tell you folks something else about learning. I've been a student of so many things all my life. And one of the things about being a student is you need principles. You need a method. And the method is quiet. It's periods, morning, noon, and night of silence. That still small voice cannot be heard if you're not quiet. And you say, Father, here I am, ready for guidance, let's go. You've got to not program your life. Joel is very good about saying, don't try to make it look like something else. Don't go out and manipulate it. Don't plan. Now, can you imagine not planning? So if you don't plan your life, Joel says, sit back, do what you have to do. Don't jump out of a job. Don't do anything foolish, but let it go. If you're asking for guidance and you want to know what's next, you have to wait and you have to listen. Now, even in the middle of the night, Joel will mention, you can get enormous insights. Sometimes you get no sleep, and Joel is very quick to say that doesn't matter because you will find the next day you hardly missed it because you were in a state of consciousness. And even when we sleep, we are in a state of consciousness, in a state of receptivity. And he often mentions that when we pass over, when we give consent to passing over, we can do that, but you will not do anything around not being where you are when you transition. But those on the path who have worked hard can even go higher on the path, or they can be rid of this mortal world altogether. Now, how about that? That's kind of fun to think about. He talks so much of the material world. We have to honor our doctors and nurses and all our human beings that serve us, that serve humanity. They are all to be honored. In the metaphysical world, we moved to a movement that said, hey, you're responsible for this, so let's use our minds and overcome it. That's what metaphysical folks worked on. And that moved us up a notch. We learned from that. And what we learned was we can go higher than that for getting guidance. And that is the mystical route. The Hindus, everyone knew. Jesus came into his own at the age of 12. And it's interesting that he knew what he was. He knew he had come to overcome the world, and he had done it. He said, if you see me, you do not see me, you see the Father that sent me. Everything from me is from guidance. You do not see me. And that's quite a goal. Can you imagine? We all can work on that. We can all work on the truth, on being peaceful. It doesn't mean that you speak the words and you do affirmations and you spout. You don't proselytize. You are comfortable in silence and peace, and then the strength that you have is very strong because it's not coming from you, it's coming from within. So God, the substance of all form, is helping us to see that to the degree we get it, that our outer world is based on what's going on within us. Can we overcome the world which Jesus did? As Joel said, he had the ultimate language. He was the master Christian. He was the one, even though all the mystics before him knew what he knew, he found a language for us. And you know what? Churches and metaphysical people, those on the path, all have the same message. It's nothing different. And we all understand each other. We all don't want hatred. We all don't want bigotry. We all want to reconcile with our brothers and sisters before we go to the altar. Is there someone out there, folks, that you have a problem with? Well, I've had plenty of those. And what you have to do is somewhere within come to grips with your compassion and your sadness. If people are lost, it may be hard to understand that they are doing their best with what they knew, because the human scene is always trying to drown out the path. The human scene wants to gobble up a lot of folks who want to get on the path, and it succeeds. There are so many folks who really just are very content to battle it out here with two worlds, love, evil, all of that stuff. They one-upping, best car, best job, most money. That works for many folks. But for those of us who might find that that's a stale ending, which I think is because we're all so creative, we always have to be moving up the ladder, because within us is the truth. Yes, we have the divine spark. We're never going to get away from it. We're part of a divine plan. We each have something to do. Now, if you don't do it this time, you'll do it the next time. But you are not going to do anything but transition, because your soul, which was never born, is never going to die. You're part of a plan where the complete soul celebrates. Can you imagine the soul of the worst person you know is your soul? You have to figure that out. You have to give grace, because that's what Jesus did. Jesus was so humble. He washed the feet of the disciples. He was so good. Everything was about goodness. Pick up thy bed and walk. He challenged us to be strong, to let go of this world. I am not of this world. I have overcome this world, which means he's overcome fear. His Father, which is pure, loving law. And I'm going to keep drumming that word law on this program because I like it. It's a law. It means it's permanent, it works, it's what it is. It's the truth. The law of love is you. So you can always have it to the degree you realize it. Yeah. So realizing it means how are you going to realize it if you're running around, which you need to live your life. It doesn't mean you have to sit in a lotus position all day long and go om, but you got to keep checking in. Start your day. In the middle of the night, go there. It's kind of exciting. And I must tell you, friends, it's helped me to do better. Because if anybody needs this, it's me. If anyone is impatient, it is me. If anyone has work to do, it is me. But I'm getting more aware. Because if I let my mind go into spirit, if I let mind of God, the universal mind, speak to me, then I am free. I am free of being here. Now, I kind of like that word. Think about being free in this dimension. Totally free. Happy, everything unfolding, everything you need coming out and coming to you. You see, the Father within knows what you have need of. Drum roll. So if you plan everything and you plot and everything else, you might be blocking what's better for you. God knows the timing, exactly what you need, if you can relax in spirit. Relaxing in spirit is not our easiest game. But you know, think of all the yoga practices and meditation practices that have bloomed and bloomed and bloomed, and they all get it, that we have to practice quiet to find the truth. The truth will just keep running away if we don't realize it. So my friends, God, the substance of all form, is telling us all, in very, very simple terms, we unfold within quietly. Daily, we unfold. So we come in with the potential of healers and teachers. That's embedded. We have that potential. Whether we run with it or not is up to us. You see, all of our manifestation lies on our shoulders. And by that, I mean our shoulders, which are God-governed. Yes, surrender. Surrender everything, folks. Anything that's bothering you, anyone that bothers you, any mission that you feel has failed you. Surrender the life that you don't feel is you. Move on. You're creative. You are created in this divine plan to come up with something very personal. You see, intelligence in the universal soul is not personal. That still small voice will come through at the darndest times and say the strangest things. And you have to take that into account and say, I wonder if that means something. And if you meditate on it, you might find that something that has not fallen into place with the whatever the voice has told you is a perfect answer to where you are going. My friends, we have a hand in ours. We smile as we know. In our last show, I think I mentioned when you pick up the phone, think of God being with you, so all three of you are on the phone. Always think of that. Always think of the presence being who you are. The presence is you, my friends. Rest in it so that you can demonstrate what that looks like. And as Joel says, don't proselytize, don't rattle around talking about what everyone should be doing because of what you know. If you rest in the presence, your whole demeanor, your whole spirit will just speak volumes. People will find you. People who share your consciousness will find you. And the miracle of, I think, of letting go is the constant miracle of every day what shows up that you didn't plan on, that you didn't expect, or you didn't consider, which is a gift from God. It's so magnificent, so magnificent. That's our gift, the voice. Jesus went into the wilderness, he listened, and he shared. And he was humble, and he always gave. And you know, something I read that I hadn't read before is the Hebrews in the Bible actually felt from way, way back that the prophet had to die. And that's just a myth, that they were following through on what they thought they had to do. But today, we don't have to worry about being executed. We can be prophets. We can do all kinds of wonderful things. And you know what? I always say this, you got to do what you love. You really do. Dare to do what you love. Yes, stay where you are, but you can always be working on that. And God will match you on that because He knows who you are. He knows what your destiny is. He knows how you fit into the divine plan. He knows what your gifts are. So do what you love is a good hint on how to get there. How to get there, God. Thank you for that. And thank you that we say thank you all day long, because gratitude is terribly important. I mean, really, when you think about the Father that created you and this beautiful life that we can be pilgrims of peace all day long. We can have perfect lives. We overcome death. We overcome disease. Now, you see, the human world made up all this stuff. Yeah, the human world created all of these fears, and unfortunately, as we believe them, we become it because it just happens. So that's a stretch for many, because I certainly have needed my share of medical help, surgeries, and that's where I was, and it was perfect, and I honor all the help that I got because I wouldn't be here if I didn't have it. But it's a challenge to me to think about the fact that in our imagined pain, that there really isn't any. I mean, I play with that now. Is that really what's going on? Are you making that up? Or are you scared because somebody next door has it and you might get it? You've got to be on the ball. Again, realizing morning, noon, and night, moment by moment. You just have to look at appearances, shoot them down for the truth. Not shoot them down so much, but let them go. What is it about letting go? What is it about the principles of the infinite way, which is a Joel Goldsmith movement, as a Christian Scientist who felt organization, became political, and where he got more peace in knowing God was just being a soul that could go anywhere and have this wonderful experience of healing. He was a magnificent healer because he did his homework, and he was the first to say how frustrated he was trying to find God. But once he realized who he was, like Jesus and the prophets and the saints, was it Abraham who called God friend? You know, in the mystics, we have so many mystical services in this world. We have so many mystical histories that are the same as what Jesus had. So we give him credit because he found us a language and principles that we could work with, where we could apply them. So, you know, in a way you could say, well, that's organized, but I don't look at that as organized, and I don't look at that as anything but letting go of what I've been hypnotized with and mesmerized with. We've got to give ourselves credit for what that's like. Being here from the day we're born, going to school, going to church, everything you hear is what life is supposed to look like. That's this earth plane. That's kind of huge. Give yourself a break. Think of yourself as being hypnotized, being in a dream, awake in the dream. You're in a dream. What you see, your concept is finite. It's not infinite. You see things that aren't there. Now think about that. You look at a finite world that doesn't exist. That's plenty to think about. So think about the infinite world, which is the real world. So watch what you're looking at, correct. Step up to the plate. Go to work. Okay, I'm saying be disciplined. You know, if you're going to play the piano, I know Joel mentions that often. You gotta practice. You got to practice the piano. And you know, when you have a problem, be vulnerable within yourself. Spell it out. What do you need help with? Open your heart. Open-heartedness comes from loss, from abandonment. When you bleed and you suffer, all of a sudden that heart that's open is so open to anybody in trouble or suffering. You feel it even if they don't talk about it. You know things with an open heart. And you know what? That's the greatest gift you can have, an open heart. Being ready to serve, being ready to help, being ready to heal, to speak, to find a special practice just for you. So remember, this finite world you're looking at is not there. It's really weird. You're a light substance. You are light, and one day your body will mean nothing to you because you will have gotten to the point where you realize you're only light. You're vibrating loving law of love light. That's all you are. You will surrender that body. And I like the idea that if you're on the path, you not only may go up, but you could let go of this mortal world altogether. Or if humanity has done you in, you'll just come back and you'll start where you left off, because you'll always make it, because you have it all. You got it in your cells. You have the Christ consciousness. You can't get away from that. No matter what the worst person you know looks like, he's got the Christ consciousness. I challenge myself to do that a lot with where I could be very judgmental. See who they really are, forgive them, and it doesn't mean that you have to hang out with everybody just to be a martyr. I don't believe in that. I mean, I don't think anybody suggests that you be a martyr. Serve where you can. Help people where you can. Be helpful, because sometimes if you're a martyr, you might serve people who don't really care about what you're doing and what you're saying, and they're just saying, oh, let them talk. And they don't listen, and they don't grow with you. It's not shameful to want to grow with people. It's not shameful to share with those wherever you are in consciousness. It's not shameful, it's beautiful. Because as you share that, you vibrate together. There are many study groups where they just listen to Joel tapes, they pray together. And in silence, they can sit for days in silence and just feel such bliss and such joy, because all of their consciousnesses know who they are. And they're working on it in any way that they can that makes their life change. And this helps me. It's frustrating. I outline books, and I know it's not the word that counts. It's not those words that I'm reading, but it's where those words take me, which is to the presence within me. That's what the material that Joel has written works for me. And Joel will always say he did not write it. He'll always say everything he ever did, and I believe this is true, was given to him as an assignment. He came in wanting to find God. He was a businessman. He did all kinds of things. He saw healings from Christian Science. It opened his whole mind to spiritual healing. And then as he got on the path and was relentless, let me tell you, he worked hard, and he became an amazing teacher. And he loved his students. So as he grew, everything he needed for every lecture hit him over the head, even before he got up to the pulpit. If he didn't even know what he was going to do, he knew and he trusted if I asked. And that's how Joel Goldsmith lived his life. A surrendered, mystical being who has served millions. And you know, it's interesting, the mystical world is coming up. We've gone from the material to the metaphysical, and now it's just pure surrender, pure listening for the voice. Pure greater things than this ye shall do. And I have not chosen me, I have chosen you. Ye have not chosen me, I have chosen you. So you are chosen. There's something special for you to do. Open to it, ask, be vulnerable. If you're lost, ask, speak up. Just remember, don't overthrow your life saying, oh, if I do that, maybe something will happen. Stay where you are, don't plan, don't plot. But pray. Meditation is a mode of prayer. It's not muttering, it's being quiet. It's saying, I'm here, I'm looking for guidance, here I am. Here I am. All day I'm going to listen. And all day you look at appearances, cast those aside that are negative, and realize the wholeness and what is within you that is so perfect. That is how your outer world changes, becomes more beautiful, more peaceful, how you attract the right people to you, or the people that just know where you are. They can even look at your presence or feel your presence. Holding that little 5-day-old Satch, I'm going to call him Satch, was such an experience in peace. Sort of mind-blowing in that I haven't had a baby in many, many years, 46 to be exact, that the miracle of birth and love, and it's just a wonderful thing to share love, because as we all know, friends, what goes out is yours. Anything you give out is yours because it comes back to you because it left you. Your heart's open, it pours out. You pour out love. You pour out God all the time, and then you have it. Joel speaks often about share, give, find a way. You have to let it go. You have to throw it to spirit. So you have it. You have a day you're filled. You're filled with joy and peace. and you know you've gotten it. And so my method of studying this work and doing what I do has been 25 years, even before I, as a teenager, had that out-of-body experience where once you have entertained any form of light, you're hooked. You can't go back, and it will change you, and you will never be happy until you have it again. We all have different degrees of awareness, illumination, spiritual illumination, but once you have it, that's it. You know something better is waiting for you, and you have work to do. So my friends, I'm going to check out. Oh, and happy birthday, did I say? Yes, to Zach's dad, Joe. And congratulations to Megan and Alex for good job, rock stars, gratitude from this grandma. And again, I thank you for watching Awaken the Dream, and I'll talk to you again soon.